I'm just going to open up the chat real quick because it just works better that way. That way, if anybody wants to chit chat at the end of today's live, if you happen to be catching this live, well, it's going live 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then we can chat together. Otherwise, no problem. You can always leave your comments after if you have anything you'd like to share. Okay, cool. So Tara is live. Let's do this now. Today, I'm going to talk about how as a stay-at-home, big family, homeschooling mom, I managed to write a book in 3 months. And really, it didn't take me 3 months to write the book. It was just from the beginning, from the idea to it's published, it's launching on Friday. It'll be available on Amazon for ebook and print. And oh my gosh, this is really happening. So some people have asked me how? Come on, Tara, you have almost 11 children, you homeschool, you manage the home full time. Are you some kind of super mom? And I'm like, no, I'm just as human as anyone else. In fact, some of you who've connected with me before, I was super unprepared for motherhood. So to go from a place of having all these kids, homeschooling, and then I'm going to write a book too. How did that happen? So I'm going to share with you today a little bit of that process because it's got a backstory, like any good story. And it actually goes all the way back to when I was a newlywed 20 years ago almost. My husband and I went to Bible college 11 weeks after we were married. And you started making new friends, you get to know people. We were down in the States, I'm in Canada. So we're practically these, a lot of Americans like Canadians, so we were quite the novelty. And we were a few years older than most of the freshman students because we were in our we were just married, 25 years old, and most of them were 18, just out of high school. So, they're kind of looking up to us like big brother, big sister. We're sharing our life, how we were saved by God's grace at 21. And as I'm sharing just my life stories, kind of becoming a big sister mentor to many of the other women on campus, a lot of women kept saying to me, wow, Tara, you're really good at telling a tale, telling from your own life. You're really good at communicating. You should write a book. And I was like, oh, thanks. I mean, it's a nice compliment. But honestly, totally blank. There was nothing, what would I write about? I would say, my husband tells me now, I was talking to him the other night, he's like, Tara, you would just tell me in private when I have something to write about, maybe I'll write something. But for now, I was like, no, that's nice. But no, no real plan. No, someday I'm going to write a book. I didn't have an idea. I didn't have any inspiration. I didn't really have any motivation. Well, fast forward, here we are, like I said, almost 20 years later, and it's happened. So when people ask me hey, Tara, how did you stay at home, big family homeschool mom over the summer, write a book? How'd you fit that one in? Because we still homeschool through the summer, and I do a lot of previewing and prep for the school year. So, summer is different, but it's not time off completely. I take the summer off from being a mom, right? Just hello, 365, 24/7, right? So that's kind of the backstory 20 years ago. But if I kind of back up only 4 months in my life, what happened was back in May 2021, I was kind of bored. I know, 10 kids. How do you get bored? But I think it was more of a restless, an internal, something was gnawing at me. And there's a whole other story. And I'm going to keep this pretty short because it's just a live. This isn't sitting down for an hour with a cup of coffee and we're having a real gap. So if you ever want to, you let me know. I was bored and restless, and we all know what's going on in the world. I'm in Canada. We have a ton of restrictions still. So there's just this rattling feeling inside of me for all these different reasons. And then boom, I end up having a conversation with my younger sister. I have 2 brothers, 1 younger sister. And we're just casually talking, kind of catching up because we're not really seeing each other much these days, even though we live half an hour away. And I find out that a business coach that she plugged into in the fall, so about a year ago, and she'd been very quiet and private about what she was doing, kind of keeping to herself. We're all just kind of putting our head down and minding our business, living our lives, getting through this crazy 2 years. Well, turns out that this business strategy she's plugged into, she was actually having a significant measure of success. And you may not know this, but for 16 years, honestly, since I became a new mom, we were at Bible college. we've been looking for ways that we could supplement our income, whether it was as missionaries and or wanting to give more, live more, do more, honestly, just like not have all of our eggs in one basket with my husband's income. But I was also like, I got to do this as a stay-at-home mom because I'm really convicted about staying home. Later became convicted about homeschooling. Whatever I was going to do, if I was going to do some kind of side gig, it would really have to fit a very certain criteria. So I've dipped my toes in a couple things over the years, never really made anything of it. Kind of embarrassing. I actually don't like talking about it very much because I kind of feel like a loser and a failure. I'm like, yeah, I tried my hand at a couple of those business, and there's different models of businesses out there. They're all fine and dandy, but I never made a dime. Oh my, I spent more than I made. I'll put it that way. Well, my sister was making money, and she's given me permission to share. She was making like what I call mad money. And she didn't want to tell me first because she's like, what if it's a fluke? What if it's a one-off? Like I would never want to tell somebody about something that like, it was just a random fluke, but it doesn't really work and it won't work for anyone else. So she's telling me, she sent me a screenshot because it's not like I didn't believe her, but I was like, are you kidding me? Like that's more money than anybody in our entire family makes, probably double income combined. And she wasn't telling me because she's not a braggart. And I was like, could you send me a link of who this person is just so I could check them out? Her name's Martha Craigie, by the way. And it's no secret. Like you can Google her. And I looked at her stuff online, did a little due diligence, and I was like, okay, hang on. This fits my criteria here. I'm going to get to the book because it connects. She is a business strategist who's gone from like nothing to a whole lot of something. And she's developed a system that just shows other people how to do it. And her shtick is, she helps stay at home, like she helps moms, women in general, build 10,000 a month incomes on 5 to 10 hours a week and multiple streams of income. So like if something dries up or closes up, you're okay. And I was like, you're okay. This resonates with me. It doesn't resonate with everybody, but it resonated with me. And because my sister had tested her out, knew her integrity, knew her caliber, and was just speaking of her very like genuinely and glowingly, and it wasn't hyped. It just seemed very solid. I was like, I'll give this a whirl. I've given stupider things a whirl. So I was like, I'll give this a go because someone I know has tested it. So boom, next thing you know, I'm messaging with Martha, multimillionaire in Florida. And I'm like, am I talking to a bot? She's like, no, it's really me. I was like, oh my goodness. Well, thank you. Next thing you know, I'm taking her course. It's called HBR, Home Business Revolution. I'm like a college student. I just kind of dove into it, did it a couple hours a week and started plugging away. Ladies, I'm going to be real. If I hadn't plugged into that course, you and I wouldn't be talking right now. I wouldn't be here. I've been off Facebook for 5 years, and I had good reasons to be. It became a very toxic environment about 5 years ago, you may or may not have noticed. And I just didn't need it, and I had stuff going on in my personal life, and I was just like, massive introvert, close the doors. I'm like, I don't need this stress. Okay, I have 10 kids at the time. I'm expecting 11. So I started taking the course, and one of the first things that she talked about, which I wasn't expecting, I was like, just show me how to make the money. Well, one of the first things she talked about was connecting authentically with who God has called me to serve. And I was like, I've never really thought about that. I think I'm here to serve my husband. I'm definitely here to serve my children. I have extended family and a community and a local church and all those things. But I hadn't, really thought in a different, like added anything to that. So she said, and I hope this makes sense, because like I've taken the course, I'm trying to condense it real quick. Just the first module was, think about what people ask you about all the time. And I was like, oh, that's big family stuff. I get asked all the time. I'm like at Costco, I'm here and there, I'm everywhere. People are like, how do you do this? How do you do that? Oh my gosh, you have all those kids? So I've definitely become the big family resource mom. And I was like, she was like, you've walked through a unique journey. Everybody's walked through. They might not think you've walked through a unique journey, but you have. And you've probably gone through things that, could actually help other people in a genuine and authentic from your heart kind of way. And I was like, well, come to think of it, Martha, I have walked a unique road. Everyone has. My unique road has been at, 16 years ago, totally unprepared for motherhood, not planning on having a big family. God totally hit us upside the head, really challenging us with trusting him in a way I never planned or expected. And quite frankly, was terrified and disgusted about doing, to be totally honest. And yet we walked through that journey with God. My life has never been the same. And here I am today, sharing in a way that I would only do if it was coming from a place of authentically wanting to help someone else. So I'm here. I may not have ever told you this before, because I know that there are other women like me, not exactly like me, who can resonate with the story of, I feel so unprepared for motherhood. I'm already in a big family and I'm drowning. I don't know who to talk to. I wish there was someone I could talk to who's gracious, who understands my journey. And I'm like, I would love to speak to you in that journey, because I believe I'm just a little further ahead on that road. Like I said, not cookie cutter, just a little further ahead on that road. And then boom, as soon as that idea crystallized in my mind through the HBR course, I knew what book I had to write. I had the book. The book was there. It came out of me so fast, I could barely catch up with it. It was like fire hose. Honestly, I'm kind of a bit of a workhorse. When I get something in my mind, I'll clear my schedule and I'll just hit it. We had a 3-day holiday weekend. My husband was home. So I just hammered the book out, sitting on the porch, drinking coffee, taking pauses to like hug the kids, make a meal. I wrote the book over a weekend. And then the rest of the summer, I've just spent hiring an editor and doing all those things. But how did I even know how to write a book, how to get an editor, and like all the after you have an idea? Well, enter my sister. Turns out she had learned how to do that process herself. Long story short, she made a course to show other women, to make it simplified, because it took her a while to figure it out. And she had a lot of, frustrations along the way. So she just made a really simple, affordable course. And she guarantees #1 spots on Amazon. And she had the proof. Like, I could see the screenshots of other books that she'd helped other women, normal women like me, go to #1 in different like categories on Amazon. So I was like, well, I know my sister. I mean, she's my sister. So, she's your sister. You're just giving her props. Well, she's a sister with results. Okay. So I took her course. Next thing you know, I know how to get an editor. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. Plugged into some of her coaching calls. And now it's happening. It's really happening. Feel a little bit of puke zone right now. Like, oh my gosh, this is going real. So I wrote the book. It ended up being called Mom of Many, Embracing the Blessing of Children. It's half memoir. Like, a memoir is like a slice of a biography. It's not my whole life story, but it's a very relevant story. It's the whole story of how God graciously brought me to a place of overcoming that huge fear. Just a second, honey, I'm talking to my friends. I'll be right with you. So the other half is for those who have kind of crossed that bridge of fear, but now they're encountering all the other people's opinions. I kind of nicely pull apart the top 10 arguments that people use to, just to say, no, I'm not, God doesn't want us to do that. And all the excuses people use, like, oh, no, you have to pray a special prayer. Oh, you need to get a special message from God. Or, you're just trying to ruin women's lives or kill them. There's a lot of arguments, excuses, and fears. So that's basically the outline of the book. And hang on, honey, I've asked you to wait. Will you wait? 2 minutes. It's going to be pretty quick. Thank you. I know you can do it. I'll be right with you. So that's basically how I wrote the book. And it started with a reason why. And you've probably heard me say this before if you've, plugged into some of my other stuff. When you have a strong enough why, like, why do I homeschool? Why do I have so many children? Why did I write a book? Then you can figure out how. It's so much easier when you know why you're doing something, right? So that's pretty much what happened. I mean, different people write books in different ways. Some people get up a little earlier in their day and just kind of get very a piece at a time. Me, I was more like blast it all out over a weekend, and then I just kind of edited it from there. So the reason why I'm sharing this is, well, one, because people have been asking, and two, if this is resonating with you, then I would be remiss to kind of keep it to myself, because I've seen so many people succeeding both with HBR and with my sister's How to Self-Publish from A to Z course. So I popped some links in the description of today's video. So if this is something you're kind of intriguing, something I would check out, then you can go ahead and check it out. If not, no biggie. Just want to share with you because these are two women I highly admire, I know personally, and I feel comfortable recommending to others. And like I said, the whole purpose of my group, Big Family Moms, Overcoming Struggles and Growing in Grace, it isn't necessarily just to promote other streams of income, but I will be real with you. That is one struggle that some big family moms really feel acutely, especially as the grocery bills get higher, the vans get bigger, the kids get bigger and their clothes needs change. All of a sudden, the costs are real. Or wanting to go on a big family vacation, you're like, that's never going to happen because it costs $10,000 just to put us all on a plane. And I'm not exaggerating. So if this is something that's resonating with you and you want to check out Martha, she's got free content so you can see if that would be a fit for you, go ahead. Or if you're just I've always wanted to write a book, but I just didn't know how, Megan's link's in there too. So you get 2 referrals in this video today. And like I said, if you have a clear why you want to do something, you'll totally figure out how. HBR, Home Business Revolution with Martha, it's helped me define my why I'm here at all. And it's not just to make money, it's to bless and serve authentically and trusting God to grow the incomes. The courses I've got coming down, but those are there to bless people. They're not there to take their money. They're there to give them something valuable. I wish so bad I'd had in my own mothering journey, especially, about 12 years ago when I was figuring this out the hard way. And Megan's course is also available, to make it simple. Because if you know why you want to write a book, you know what you want to say, sometimes you just need a little bit of help to actually get it to market, right? So this gave this stay-at-home, big family, homeschooling mom a very clear, doable path. And if I can do it with almost 11 kids, anybody can. So I hope this blessed you today. I'm checking the chat. See? And I am so happy that I got to meet with you today and share with you a little bit of my heart. I'm going to wrap it up here. Wish you a beautiful day. Yes, I know I'm dressed a little extra fancy today. It's actually because I have a funeral to go to right after this for a dear friend who passed away, sadly, over the weekend. So that's why I look so fancy. But I just wanted to wish you a very blessed Wednesday. And I'll catch you again on Friday. You know what? Where are my notes? My notes are all over the place. I'll leave a link later. You'll see what Friday's going to be, but it's going to be a good one. God bless you. Take care until then.